The Treaters. These entities are the newest addition to Doors in their Halloween update, and man are they interesting. You've likely already come across these 2D creatures throughout your playthrough of the new Trick or Treat game mode. I mean, it's kind of hard not to, as they are found quite literally everywhere. As I'm sure you all know, these entities can be found in houses all throughout the new game mode. And when interacted with, they'll either give you a treat in the form of candy, or give you a trick in the form of a jump scare. Now, although they may seem simple at first, these creatures are incredibly complex, and their lore is just as intriguing. Today, I'm going to be exposing the secrets of the Treaters indoors, as well as just explaining what is actually going on with them. We have got a lot to discuss today, so with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so in order to understand the Treaters, we must understand where they came from. Upon playing through the Halloween version of the Outdoors for this event, you may be asking yourself, how does this fit into the rest of the story? After all, we already have the normal Outdoors. Why is it so different now and Halloween themed? Well, the game actually gives us an explanation as to why this is the case. Essentially, the Trick or Treat game mode takes place in an alternate reality, where the World Lotus is replaced by the World Pumpkin, likely a giant invasive pumpkin, similar to how the World Lotus works. We don't actually ever get to see the World Pumpkin in this update, however, we may see it in the future, so keep that in mind. Anyways, this is where all the Halloween theming comes from. However, it also means the events of the game mode aren't actually canon to the main story of the game, as it does take place in a different reality. So does this mean the Treaters aren't useful at all? Well, not quite. This parallel between the two dimensions of the Outdoors actually gives us a ton of lore insight, and that is where the Treaters really start to shine. As you may know, in the normal Outdoors, Sally ran away from Grampy and the groundskeeper, meaning she's practically a missing child to them. In this Halloween universe, though, she never left, and in turn we get to see what happened to the groundskeeper family as a result. For one, Grampy is no longer wearing his scarf, as it was meant to be worn by Sally, so he gave it to her. Additionally, Grampy opened up a family business where you can purchase items. This alternate universe didn't just make everything Halloween themed, it gives us a glimpse into the Doors world if completely different events occurred. This leads us to the Treaters. As I described, the Treaters' main purpose is to give players either candy or a jump scare. However, what's most interesting about them is how they are even in the Outdoors in the first place, as that kinda goes against everything we know about the game so far. Within the main universe of Doors, Treaters are nowhere to be seen. Grampy never mentions them in his dialogue, their houses are gone without a trace. In fact, even their rooms in the hotel, which is where they also reside, are gone within the main game. Something in this Halloween universe must have changed which enabled the survival of this species of entities. However, as to what that is specifically, we don't know. If I had to guess, it might be because of the World Pumpkin, and how that's inherently Halloween themed, so these Halloween entities just sprouted out, or something like that. Now, that is definitely something interesting. However, what's even more intriguing is what Grampy has to say about these entities. As I had said, the main timeline of Doors has no Treaters, so Grampy and his family never got to interact with them. Here, the opposite is true, and based on Grampy's dialogue, we can get a closer look as to how these entities behave from a story aspect, not just how they behave gameplay-wise. For one, it seems these entities are mute, or at least don't speak with other people. Not only is this seen through the player's interactions with them, but Grampy also states that he has tried speaking to them but they never respond. This means that this civilization of creatures are reclusive and don't really interact too much with the outside world. A point further proven by how Grampy confirms that they have never left their houses, or at least he's never seen that happen. Grampy even calls it suspicious, and even questions how they manage to get their supply of candy which they give to players, because they never leave their houses to get that candy. Now, that's all relatively surface-level information. However, something rather odd Grampy discovered about these entities is that their houses regenerate? Yeah, it's weird. Let's dig into it. As he stated, the groundskeeper, also known as Sunny, tried to harvest resources from a treater house, but the cuts just regrew. If I had to assume, he tried harvesting some of the or something, as he said, it just regenerated back on the house, which is really strange. Unfortunately, there really isn't an explanation as to why this may be the case. If I had to guess, it may just be a property of the Doors world as a whole, even though this game mode is meant to show us an alternate reality to the main one. The universe of Doors is home to some incredibly strange mechanics, such as the non-existence of elevation as a concept. So I wouldn't be surprised if the regenerating house thing was just a part of the weirdness of this whole universe. Now, something which I haven't really brought up with the treaters is their variety. Unlike most entities in the game, treaters come in all shapes, sizes, and ages. You can find big ones, young ones, creepy ones, and even tiny ones, like children. They represent a broad range of personalities and archetypes. This humanizes the entities in a very odd way, as even though they have such a wide variety of personalities, they all function and behave the exact same as each other. Now, that was basically all the general information about treaters I wanted to go over in today's video. However, there was one rather peculiar variant of the entity I'd like to discuss further. Essentially, as you may know, Timothy isn't an ordinary spider. In fact, he canonically is incredibly intelligent, hence why he named himself Timothy. That was him. A while back, I asked the developers if Timothy was responsible for creating all the spiderwebs seen in the game, and they confirmed that yes, that was the case. However, they also said that it is possible for other spiders to exist within the Doors world, which we have never come across. Since then, I've always wondered if other spiders did exist, but this update proved it. One of the treaters you can find is covered in them, proving more besides Timothy do exist. You can even find spiderwebs throughout the new game mode. Now, keep in mind that this event takes place in an alternate reality to the main game, but I just thought it was an interesting detail. So, to summarize, the Treaters are a new group of entities added in the recent Halloween update indoors. They are humanoid creatures that either give you candy or jump scare you upon interacting with the door of their house. Grampy's dialogue proves that they are a reclusive species, who don't really interact with others or leave their houses, and said houses have regenerative properties, so they can never truly be damaged. Those properties are likely the cause of just the weirdness of the Doors world. What's more, treaters come in a variety of shapes, sizes, ages, and personalities, yet despite that, they seemingly all behave the same. Lastly, the existence of a spider-covered treater implies that more spiders besides Timothy exist within the Doors world. Although that may only be true for this parallel Halloween universe, but it is an interesting idea. So, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments what you think of all this, as well as what your own theories are about the treaters and just this update in general. And thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.
Alright, so here's how it's gonna go. I'm gonna try to beat the game as you four try to stop me with your ghostly powers. I have one flashlight and one battery, but after I run out, I can't use any more light. And there's one more catch, I cannot heal. Okay, so are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect, fantastic. You guys are so enthusiastic about this, but there is one more thing. You guys aren't dead yet, so we need to fix that. Okay. Alright, so now it's time for me to deafen myself so I don't have an advantage. Deafening right now. Pinkies.
Okay.
Now, I sound like the person who's talking to no one. I don't even know what they're talking, but all they're gonna do is try to make my day worse. I have no clue how this is gonna go. I I did this a while ago. I did this on TikTok. This will be fun. Starting in the rivers. That's not a good sign. One of my least favorite room types. Oh, okay, it's just right there. That's awesome. Okay. For everyone watching this right now, I'm currently deafened, but I'm not muted. They can hear absolutely everything I say, and I hope I'm talking over them. Yeah, I see you. I see you. Oh, all 4 of you. I can see you way better when it's like dark. Oh, I should not have used my flashlight. That was a dumb idea. Oh, immediately into some flooded rooms? That's fantastic. This is so good. Man, you guys are not trying, are you? I only got like, what, 80 more doors? Oh yeah, leave the light. Leave the light. We get little bulbs in the air. That's perfect. Okay. Okay, that was terrible. Who turned out the lights and then flickered? You guys have no coordination. This is so funny. Why are you all staring at me? Oh wait, that wasn't a real flicker. I'm actually, what am I doing? No way. That was real? That was fucking real? Holy shit. Okay, alright, okay. I know what I'm messing with now.
That was an actual
That was real? That was fucking real?
That was real.
No way.
Okay. I know what I'm messing with now. I was actually so confident that was a fake flicker. Holy shit, dude. Okay, I'm actually kind of worried now.
I guess like whenever it flickers, it's just like immediately turn off the lights.
Is this Dead Cedar? Are we seriously getting Dead Cedar right now? Don't turn off my light. This is insane. Okay, awesome. Love seeing ghosts in this very scary, creepy room. Wait, what? What is going on here? What?
How did he now just
What? What the hell happened here? What, you think I'm gonna die to that? Okay. Alright. Oh, the bathrooms. Do any of you ghostlies need to take a little boom boom? You guys need to take a little piss? Okay, all 3 of you in the same stall. That's fine. You know, recently, when I've been playing, I've noticed that these landmines, they're almost like even more purposeful than before. I feel like I'm finding them in spots where like I genuinely need to sidestep before I accidentally die. Oh god, you guys can't even do anything during grand encounters. Oh my god, why did I do that? You guys are just gonna have to sit back and watch me freaking grand encounters like nothing. Is that real?
Oh,
Is that real? Is that real? I have no. What are you guys doing?
oh, that's real.
That's
Okay.
real.
Oh my god, the elusive triple flicker. Easy, easy. No damage taken here. Watch this. Perfect. Every health point counts right now. I wonder what the grand encounter is gonna look like for you guys. Ooh! Firewall. What if you hold up your bunnies? Hold up your
Not
bunnies.
even in there.
Wait, where'd you
We're
guys go?
stuck in this room.
Punch the baby, punch the baby, punch the baby, punch the baby.
Oh, you guys are not allowed in this area? I'm a little too easy. It's just another game of Firewall. I won't take no damage because I never take damage in Firewall. Okay, that is a crazy jump. Whoa. Tightrope, dude. Oh god, okay. Okay. I thought I undershot that. Oh my god. I was literally just gonna run into the firewall with that one. Oh my god. Okay. No! That was so bad. I cannot believe I took damage like the last area. So that you guys can respawn. Okay, Oh, okay, server rooms, that's a little scary. Oh, okay. So that's not like I can pick up items, but you know, it's a nice little safe room. Of course you can tell me right. Of course. And in hand crank. Okay, obvious actual flicker. Can you stop moaning, please? Are you chain moaning right now? Oh my god, dude. It's just not stopping. It's not stopping. This is fantastic. That went on for so long. That was like a minute straight. Man, what are you guys gonna do in here? What are you guys gonna do in here? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing in here. Woo! Holy cow. Wow, really? This room? Dude, I haven't had this room in so long. I bet half of you... What's happening? What the...
You got hit. Oh.
Oh my god, he's on the vent. He's on the vent. He's in the wall. He's in the fucking wall. Oh my god, what the fuck?
What's happening?
You guys are working together with this. Oh my god, that's insane. I thought it was a keycard door. Okay, thanks so much for that. No, don't do these. Oh, whoa, no way. Was that real? I have no clue. Yes, it's real. Okay. I should trust my gut next time. When I got 37 doors. Are you guys even trying right now? Dude, I gotta go to serve place. I gotta do some movement. What are you guys gonna do? Oh. Oh, okay, hi. Hello. Hello, both of you. Hello, all three of you. Alright. I'm so glad you guys can't mess with these machines. Man. Oh, okay, I guess you can.
Oh, you can block it. Okay.
You can block it.
That's fantastic. Okay, okay. Could have been bad. 1, 2. Okay, thanks so much. 3, 4. That was pretty smart, you guys did. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't expecting you guys to be able to like cover the thing. I'll give you that one. You guys better start strategizing. Once I get to the final section, there's not much you can do. Is that? Wow, what? He's on the couch. They can do that? What? Hold on, I gotta take a screenshot of this. I'm getting tapped out. I know that was real. That was real. It's right after searchlight, so it's gonna take a while. Getting tapped out. I know that was real. That was
You don't know
real.
if it's real or not.
He doesn't know. Oh my god, that's so smart.
Is that one real? No, that's fake. Oh my god.
Marinette. Tokyo a besoin de ton aide.
Le 1er novembre sur Disney Channel, Ladybug débarque à Tokyo.
Tu connais ces super-héros? Ce sont d'anciens amis. Ils ont besoin de nous.
Découvrez Miraculous World de Tokyo Stellar Force en exclusivité mondiale, samedi 1er novembre à 8h30 sur Disney Channel.
That was real. That one was real. Dude, I genuinely have no clue what's going on right now. Oh, it's Chainsmoker, dude. Oh, I hear Pinky. Did you guys try to moan over the sound of Pinky? No one can. Oh god. Oh god. Oh no. Oh, this is bad. This is terrible. Dude, I've died so many times in the mantle because I genuinely cannot see flickers in here. This is going to be terrible. Oh god. I know. Anglers can't spawn here, right? Like in the first room. Dude, this is so bad. The O2. Is there a candle bear? What? Wait, what? Oh, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. I genuinely can't tell. I can't tell. I think I heard a flicker. Dude, I can't tell. Oh, dude. Oh, thank God. Dude, that was so stressful. That was so goddamn stressful. Okay. Okay, that was bad. 20-ish more doors. That's all. No, 15. Oh my God. Flooded rooms? Dude, this is the icing on the cake. That's not real. That's not real. Stop looking at me. Stop looking at me. You're making me nervous. Is that real? Is that for real? Yes. Oh my god. Okay, it's real. That was really close. I think that's it. I think that's game. That's gotta be the last clicker. Oh my god, the ridge. Oh my god. Oh my god. I forgot about the ridge. Oh dude. That's gonna be terrible. What? What? What?
Yes.
What?
Yes, yes, I did it. Oh my god. Yes.
I disarmed it! What? 20 health? No, dude. No. Oh, no. I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out right now. What? Who has hitbox? One of you has a hitbox. What? This is terrible. I shouldn't have said anything. I shouldn't have said anything at all. Oh my god. Okay. I just gotta keep walking. I just gotta keep going forward. I'm screwed. I'm screwed if I slow down.
Hi, this is Executive State Bank channel members. So look at all of them on the screen right now. Wow, you should become one so you can join them. Okay, bye.
Popping that battery. I'm popping that battery. Oh, wait. We're not on drill left? Okay. Okay. Oh. Stop. Okay. Perfect. Fantastic. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Alright. This is good. Yep. Yeah, we could just sit here all day and do this. Technically, you guys win. Okay. There we go. Locker by locker. Oh, okay. Alright. First one was Pinky. Oh god, okay. I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Guessing the key cards were there. Could be over there, but that's a void locker. I gotta wait for another angler to go by. I don't like when you guys can block the UI for the locker.
No.
Something is coming? Oh shit.
Yeah.
I got plenty of time, plenty of time. There we go, there we go. Okay. I gotta get out. I gotta wait for him to come back. I have to get up the locker 3 times because of how big this room is. How many rooms is that so far? That's like 2? 2 or 3? Okay, thanks so much. Okay, thanks so much. See when I bait you? I'm baiting you into using stupid moves. Okay, when do you guys go over there and like use your light so I can see where the next locker is? I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't know where to go yet. There's only one reason you're making lockers go like that. So let's avoid locker. Is there an locker? Nope. Okay, I'm gonna have to wait for an angler. Stop dancing. Oh. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Those are 2 void lockers. Is that the end? Oh. Oh. Okay. That was a little scary. That was just a tiny bit scary. Last segment. 20 health. Not bad. Not bad. What are you gonna do? It's the finale. There ain't nothing you can do here. This is my territory. All I have to do is not mess up at all. I'll be fine. Oh my god. Oh my god. I forgot that they come in from there. Yo, I'm not dying. I'm not dying. I'm not dying. I'm not dying. Oh, that was bad. That was an oopsie daisies. I'm just realizing now that I haven't done the final searchlights in forever. Dude, they're so finicky. Sorry, buddy. I actually don't know where it is. Oh god. Okay. Okay, I see one. Right there. Okay, awesome. Love that you can block UIs like that. That makes this so much better. This is kind of a terrifying spot. Okay, second searchlight's here. 2, 3. What do I do over there? Is there a hiding spot? No, there isn't, dude. What the hell? I'm gonna have to wait until like I absolutely know where they're going. They're both surrounding me. That's great. I'm fine. I'm fine. Stop. Stop. Oh. Oh my god.
I got him.
They're all going the other way. Too late. I'm already on it. That was really close. Do the last section, and then I'm done. And then I'm done. Okay. Please don't see me. Oh my god. Oh god. What is that, the second one? Second lever pulled? That steam is very close. I'll be fine, I'll be fine, I'll be fine. Oh, okay, one more lever. One more lever. What the hell is that? Oh, is that... Okay. I'm so confused. I was like, what the hell is that? Oh god. Okay. This is bad. This is bad. What the hell do I do here? How do I get through here without taking damage? Okay. Oh my god. Oh my god, that steam. That steam pipe. Amazing. That's it. That's it. I win. Huh. Oh my god. GG. Amazing. I almost got stomped to death. That was bad. Well, what the hell are you ghosts gonna do now? Huh? Are you guys still flying? What? What is going on? Wait, you guys are real ghosts now? Oh, look who won. Look who won.
Okay, bro.
Okay, bro.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, shut up, fatty.
Okay. I see someone sore losers, huh?
Yeah.
Can I go to sleep now?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, take your final rest, buddy. No. Hold on. Wait. Did I? No. Oh, I always do this. Everything went well, so I think I'm just gonna. Watch this dumbass dance.
Break it down.
Censor him.
No! What are you doing, Barre?
It's
I
okay.
did something worse! Oh my god.
There was this little kid that went to the skate park I used to go to as a kid, and that was the only dance he knew.
The Dougie?
Yep. And he would go every single time. He'd say it as fast as he could. He'd go, "Timmy out of Dougie, Timmy do it." And he'd just do that over and over. Why is your stupid sea bunny following you around? You're a f***ing ghost.
I don't know, I can't pick it up either.
I
Oh my
can't
god, I
pick up
can hold it
Herbert.
out!
I can't pick up Herbert.
Everybody.
Okay, video's over. Go away.
Hello? Yes, 911? Something's wrong with me. I think I'm possessed.
last month, Roblox Doors released their long-awaited content update, which finally brought modifiers to Floor 2, as well as adding a whole new slew of modifiers to the hotel. Modifiers are a really fun way of customizing the Doors experience to suit each individual player. And with so many modifiers with a wide range of unique effects, some are obviously going to be more difficult than others. So for this video, I thought it'd be fun to rank all 87 modifiers from easiest to hardest. But how will these rankings be determined? Well, similar to the candy ranking video, we're going to assume that your goal is to beat the game by escaping the floor without dying. But unlike the candy video, we're actually going to rank these modifiers from easiest to hardest this time around, rather than hardest to easiest. After all, typically the point of a modifier is to make the game more challenging. And because of a certain new modifier, we're going to assume that you are the one making your own elevator and choosing a modifier rather than joining someone else's elevator. It should also be noted that there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of modifiers in this game, with hundreds of different combinations to choose from. For this ranking, I'm going to do my best to rank each modifier individually. Obviously, some mods can be really difficult when paired with other mods, and I'll mention that when necessary, but it won't affect the ranking too much. This ranking is also much larger and much more nuanced and subjective than my candy ranking video. Everybody has their own play style, and each individual may struggle against certain entities. That means that a lot of modifiers that are ranked in the middle aren't really going to matter that much. So on top of the numerical ranking, I'm also going to put each modifier on a tier list so that you can know the general difficulty of each mod. I'm still going to do my best to rank each mod individually, but just know that some modifiers on the C and B tiers are roughly the same difficulty, and they can be used interchangeably depending on your own playstyle. That said, feel free to let me know down in the comments any changes you would make to this list. One more thing before we begin, this script is being written in January of 2025. Before this date, a lot of modifiers have been buffed and nerfed over the years, so just know that if you're watching this in the future, a lot of the mods might have been adjusted. And with that out of the way, let's get started with the ranking. We're going to start with the F tier mods. These are the mods that either barely affect the game at all, or just make the game or remove badge progress altogether, so they're actually not recommended for hotel house and hard place runs. Number 87, the admin panel. Wow, who could have seen this one coming? Yeah, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, the modifier that gives you godlike powers is the easiest mod in the game. This modifier is extremely unique, being the only one that requires you to pay Robux in order to activate. And with this mod active, you can do basically anything you want. And when I say basically anything, I mean it. You can teleport between rooms, give yourself unlimited items, and even change your stats to increase your health and speed, including a God mode stat which makes you completely invincible. You also get a lot of tools to troll your friends or to play some interesting challenges. You can spawn any entity you want at any time, including Ambush, Russ, Screech, Figure, etc. There's even a feature to make your own custom entity, allowing you to choose their appearance, the sound they make, their speed, and their amount of rebounds. I mean, who wouldn't want Pepsi Man in a game of Roblox Doors? This single mod basically turns this horror game into a fun sandbox that you can play around with to your heart's content. This also paves the way to many unique video ideas for content creators like myself. Bit of a side tangent, but I just want to say that for a game with very few microtransactions, I need to give the devs some credit for how genius of a game pass this is. A couple years back, we didn't get nearly as many updates as quickly as we do today. Most of the time, we had to go months without any kind of update. And back then, it was just Floor 1, with no Floor 2 release in sight. So while waiting for the next update, many people actually turned to exploiting to keep themselves entertained. And essentially, by adding the admin panel, the developers of Doors not only legalized exploiting, but also monetized it. A masterful gambit that will certainly make Doors more entertaining for months to come. But with that tangent aside, yeah, having the admin panel is just a free win. Number 86, Maximum Overdrive. Number 85, Faster, Faster, Faster. And number 84, Didn't Skip Leg Day. I'm ranking these three modifiers together since they basically do the same thing. These mods simply increase your movement speed permanently. As I've said many times before, speed is incredibly useful when it comes to dealing with nearly every entity in the game. So needless to say, these mods make the game way easier. Just keep in mind that Maximum Overdrive and Faster X3 will disable the Rift and disable Progress, meaning you can't really get any badges with them. Didn't Skip Leg Day doesn't disable either of these mods though, so it's a very useful mod when you're grinding out achievements. Number 83, Voice Acting. This was a mode added in the April Fool's event of 2024, which gives really silly voices to most entities in the game. You'll also also get voice lines for other random things such as opening doors, finding items, taking damage, and dying. For the most part, this is just a harmless modifier that's meant to give you a nice laugh. That said, I'd say this mod does give you a slight advantage when it comes to escaping. Rush will now verbally warn you when he's gonna attack, Ambush will tell you when he's rebounding, and Halt just straight up explains the mechanic for the noobs who still don't understand it. These little extra things make the game slightly easier. I got so emotional when Rush said that he was gonna rush. I say the only entity I personally had trouble dealing with here is Screech. Rather than his normal whisper, Screech will instead say a funny voice line before attacking. Honestly, with all the random voice lines his mod throws at you, I find it difficult to discern which voice lines are for Screech. But once you get used to Screech, this mod makes the game overall easier. Number 82, Custom Seed. I'm sure as you all know, every time you play doors, you're given a random seed. This seed determines what rooms you come across and at which doors the entities will spawn. By using a custom seed, you can use the exact same seed every time, which makes the RNG in the game a lot more consistent. A lot of the challenge in doors comes from having to think on the fly and adapt to your environment, so having a custom seed eliminates a lot of that challenge. By being able to predict exactly when and where entities will spawn, you'll have a much easier time taking on even the toughest challenges. Now, I'm sure there are some very challenging seeds as well, such as seeds with an early halt spawn or a lot of ambush spawns. But even if the game throws 5 ambushes at you, if you're able to predict exactly when those ambushes are coming, you really shouldn't have much trouble getting through it. Overall, Custom Seed makes the game a lot easier in my opinion. Unless you just forget everything after every death, then yeah, I guess it would be fine. Number 81, Trick or Treat. This modifier makes it so that you can find and eat candies throughout your run, with each candy providing a unique helpful or harmful effect. Now, I've already made a completely separate video talking about the effects of each candy, so if you want to know what each candy does, feel free to check out that video after watching this one. But only if you're cool with me ranting about the act for the first 7 minutes. I'm still not over that. Anyway, yeah, for this video, I won't be talking about what the candies do, but rather I'm going over how the modifier works as a whole. According to the Doors wiki, there are 47 total candies that can appear from this modifier. I say according to the wiki because apparently good aftertaste might not actually exist. Thanks a lot, guys. And out of those 47 candies, the game will select a certain amount of them to appear during your run. This means that, sadly, you won't be able to eat every single candy in just one playthrough, as your pool of candies in each run is limited. Each candy is also given a completely unique look at the start of the run, making each candy completely random. What might have been a rock candy in your previous run might be a terminal velocity candy in your next. When you find a new candy, it will just show question marks. But after you eat it for the first time, the game will memorize that candy for you, so you can always decide whether or not you want to eat the candy again. Keep in mind that the game will forget all candies you ate if you die in reload. With that being said, there are 3 candies that are exempt from these rules, being the candies that represent the 3 architects: Guidance, Volatile Starlight, and Can Die. These 3 candies will always be in your candy pool in every single run, and they always look exactly the same, so when you see these candies, you'll always know what they do. With all of these rules in mind, I can say with confidence that this modifier generally makes the game easier. Yes, there are candies with some negative effects, but the game will memorize these negative candies for you. So unless you get super unlucky and eat 4 damage-dealing candies at the start of your run, you should be fine. Number 80, More Stuff. This modifier increases the chances of finding items throughout your run. Pretty self-explanatory mod here. Items are useful. Number 79, Bug Spray. This modifier just straight up deletes Timothy from the game. This is one of the most random modifiers the devs have made. Timothy in the base game isn't even that much of a threat, just a semi-rare jump scare that you can find from looting. So the fact that you can just remove him from your run was always pretty jarring to me. But I guess if you have arachnophobia, then this is the mod for you. Number 78, Hotel Minus. Back in January 2023, Doors released a Hotel Plus update that completely revamped the game, adding some new features and tweaking the game to make it more enjoyable. Hotel Minus is a modifier that reverts the game back to a 2022 build before this update. Essentially, this is the OG for Doors. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't start playing Doors until the Hotel Plus update was already out, and I've only played this Hotel Minus modifier a couple of times, so there's probably gonna be a few minor changes that I'm gonna forget to mention. But anyway, here's the general rundown of some of the changes you'll see with this modifier. Rush is a bit quieter than usual. Dupe does not exist. Halt attacks more often. Seek looks kinda goofy. Figure is a bit dumber than usual. He won't hear you open drawers or closets, so as long as you're crouching, you should be fine. Jeff's shop does not exist. This also means that there's no skeleton key and no crucifix. Vitamins can heal you alongside their speed boosts. Ambush has much larger raycasting and can rebound more often. There are some old rooms that have since been removed, such as the room with the side vent, an ordinary library room, and this weird beta-looking basement. The greenhouse, arguably the hardest part of the hotel, does not exist, and the last 10 rooms are pretty generic. And lastly, the door 100 end boss against Figure is stupidly easy. You're supposed to run back and hide in the closet, and then just sneak your way straight to the breaker puzzle. But apparently there's a bug where you can just move during the cutscene and skip the figure encounter altogether. So yeah, with these changes in mind, it can be difficult to decide where to rank this modifier. Given that entities like rush and ambush are stronger and there's no crucifix to protect you, I'm sure some people might argue that Hotel Minus is more difficult than the current hotel. But in my opinion, I think Hotel Minus is easier simply because of the late game. Like I said, there's no greenhouse at all, which I'd argue is where the hotel's the most difficult. And the end boss is so laughably easy that I can't put this build of the game over the one we currently have.
Viens t'amuser encore plus dans la maison de Mickey.
Voilà ce qui serait vraiment merveilleux.
Tes vieux copains.
Number 77, Good Time. This modifier is meant to decrease the amount of entity spawns throughout the run, but do you ever feel like it just doesn't? I don't know, a lot of people have told me that this modifier doesn't do anything, and I've always kind of felt the same way. Well, with the new custom scene modifier, we can actually find out all I have to do is run through the same scene with and without the Good Time mod and document the entity spawns as I go. So for this test, I went through doors 1 to 88, since the greenhouse is relatively consistent with rush spawns. So using this random seed I found, I went through the game normally, counting 7 rush spawns, 6 eye spawns, 1 halt spawn, don't ask me why I counted the halt spawns, I'm not sure why, 1 halt spawn, 1 ambush spawn, and 1 Sally spawn. Adding this up, I got a total of 16 entity spawns. Running through the exact same speed, this time with the Good Time modifier, I found 6 rush spawns, 4 eye spawns, 1 halt spawn, 0 Sally spawns, and 0 ambush spawns. Bringing our total spawn count down to 11. So this modifier gave us 5 less entity spawns and completely killed ambush. It's nothing super significant, but I think we can confirm that this modifier is, at the very least, functional. It does technically make the game a little bit easier. But with that out of the way, let's move on to a modifier that actually isn't functional. I'm going to talk about wet floor again. Number 76, wet floor. I can explain. If you were to ask me about the wet floor mod even a month ago, I would tell you that this is the single hardest mod in the game. Just because this single mod would make the game completely unbeatable. In fact, I've made several short videos on this mod and how it's completely unfair. So why on earth is it suddenly so low on this list? Well, buckle up, as this mod has a very complicated history and there's quite a bit to unpack here. Let's just say that this modifier just can't seem to stop being broken. And this is hopefully the last time we will talk about wet floors on this channel because I am sick and tired of this stupid mod. When wet floor was first added in August of 2023, it was arguably one of the trickier mods in the game, causing the floor to become slippery and making the game difficult to control. Of course, tight and precise movement is an important part of the game, especially during the sequence. This modifier in particular was very difficult to beat, but it certainly wasn't impossible. In late September of 2023, fellow Doors YouTuber Think Noodles managed to beat the game with this modifier on. It took a lot of attempts as he needed to adjust to the slippery controls, but it was certainly possible. If I had to rank this version of the modifier, it'd probably be somewhere in the top 10, possibly even in the top 5. It wasn't impossible to beat, but it definitely wasn't something you wanted in your Hotel Hell loadout, as it did make the game significantly harder. Unfortunately, this is the only era where the wet floor mod worked as intended. As we moved into 2024, we slowly got some other updates to Doors, such as the backdoor update for the Hunt event, the 2024 April Fool's event, and eventually we got the Floor 2 update in August of 2024. And throughout these many updates, the wet floor modifier became more and more difficult, eventually becoming nearly impossible to beat. Now, it wasn't that the devs were evil and just bumping this mod every single update for no reason, but rather the general movement of the game slowly updated to have tighter controls, and the wet floor modifier was never updated to accommodate these movement changes. I mean, just boot up super hard mode and feel it for yourself. This was a 2023 build of the game, and the movement feels quite different from what we have now. So yeah, eventually the wet floor became nearly unbeatable. At this point, the floor didn't even feel slippery per se. This mod just completely tanked your character's acceleration, meaning how quickly you could speed up, slow down, and change direction. You could struggle your way through the hotel, but once you made it to the first sea chase, you were basically cooked. The first sea chase requires a lot of turning, and there was no way for you to turn that quickly with your acceleration tanked this hard. And no, speed buffs did not help. Like I said, the problem is the acceleration, not the speed. and this mod did not give us enough time to reach that top speed. For a long time, this mod seemed hopeless to beat, but funnily enough, just before the new content update, someone did find a way to consistently beat it. Mario Player 59 found that, for some reason, if you held the shake light, the wet floor didn't work at all and you could play the game like normal. Meaning for a short while, this modifier was technically possible to beat, but you had to do a completely separate playthrough without modifiers and then put your shake light in the rift. Anyway, that leads us to today. With the release of the content update, a lot of the modifiers in the game were reworked and patched. So what did the developers do to finally fix and balance this silly little mod? Well, at least you don't need the shake light anymore. That makes it a bit easier. Yeah, at the time of writing this script, wet floor just doesn't do anything. It is literally a free 10% knob boost to use in any of your runs. Now, I'm sure that the developers are going to address this soon, but to be completely honest with you, I have no idea what they're going to do with it. Maybe one day this mod will be fixed and balanced and everything will be PG, but I don't know when or how that day will come. And I am tired of the wet floor modifier, and I can't handle it haunting my dreams every single night. Wet floor is this low on the list because it does absolutely nothing. Let's move on. Number 75, Itchy. This is another mod for Timothy, but this one makes him more aggressive. His spawn rate increases, he does a bit of damage, and he can now kill you if you run out of health. In most runs, this really shouldn't affect your game all that much. Even with this mod, Timothy is still relatively uncommon. And when he does bite you, it shouldn't be too hard to heal it off. Number 74, El Goblino was healed. This mod decreases the amount of gold you'll find in your run, making it more difficult to afford items from Jeff's shop. In my experience, this mod doesn't affect the run too much, and if you're looting everywhere, chances are you'll still have enough gold to buy what you want. Number 73, Soundproofing. This removes the shimmering sound effect from essential items such as keys, library books, and circuit breaker switches. This can make the figure encounters a little more difficult, but if you wait long enough, Guiding Light will still show you where these items are. Also, from what I can tell, none of these items in Floor 2 have a shimmering sound effect, so if you're playing in the mines, this is a completely free 5% knob boost. And closing off the F tier, we have number 72, Blitz O. This mod has a chance to spawn Blitz from the back door, who in this case is basically just a clone of Rush. Lights will flicker when he spawns, and you have to hide in a closet in order to avoid it. Now, in the back door, Blitz does have a chance of rebounding to catch players off guard, but he will almost never rebound if you add him into other floors as a modifier. This is because Blitz only rebounds when haste is an active threat, and since haste isn't here, Blitz won't rebound. This makes Blitz the exact same as Rush, so he's really not that threat. The only thing to note is that in the mines, Blitz will not cause an earthquake when he spawns. Anyway, with that, we are finally done with the F tier mods. I would not be surprised if you completely forgot about this tier list because we had a lot of easy mods to go over. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe for more videos like these. It only takes a few seconds to do so, and you can always unsubscribe if you change your mind later. And now we're going to move on to the D tier modifier. These mods will affect your run in some way, but they are either very easy to deal with or can just be cheese somehow. These mods are highly recommended for your Hotel Hell and Hard Place runs. Number 71, Wear and Tear. This modifier is supposed to decrease the durability of some of your items. And by durability, I really just mean battery life. Most items in the game are single use anyway, so battery life is really the only thing that can be decreased by this mod. There's only one problem with this modifier though. It's half broken. But what exactly do I mean by that? Well, I used the admin panel to time how long it took for each light source to go out after running on full charge. The relatively new Floor 2 items, the bulk light, the strap light, and the laser pointer, all successfully had their battery life cut in half, as this modifier should do. However, all of the items typically found in the hotel, such as the lighter and the flashlight, had the exact same battery durability and were not affected by this modifier at all. As far as we're concerned, Wear and Tear is a free 5% knob boost if you're playing with the hotel. If you're playing in the mines, however, you do need to be careful with how you manage your light sources. So that's why I put Wear and Tear at the very bottom of D tier. Number 70, Rush Around. Exclusive to the hotel floor, this makes it so that Rush has a chance to attack from in front of you as well as behind you. Now, obviously, Rush always has a chance to do this by default, so if you've played a decent amount of Floor 2, you're probably already used to this. But this can make the timing for Rush just a bit trickier, and if you're going for a closetless run, having him appear in front of you gives you far less rooms to hide in. Number 69, Smelt It, and number 68, Melt It. These cause fire damp rooms to appear in the hotel, and even more fire damp rooms in the mines. Fire damp rooms are pretty simple to deal with. Just don't stay in the room for too long, or you'll suffocate from the fumes and die. If you feel your character getting a bit lightheaded, you can walk back into the previous room to catch your breath and reset the kill timer. Also, don't use a lighter or you'll just explode. 9 times out of 10, this modifier is pretty easy to deal with. Just quickly move into the next room and you'll be fine. That said, there are some unlucky situations where this mod can be problematic, such as a fire damp room after a halt chase, or having a basement maze as a fire damp room. But like I said, those situations are pretty rare, and the fire damp rooms are easy to handle otherwise. Number 67, small hands, and number 66, baby hands. These mods are meant to decrease the amount of items you can hold at once. As you probably already know, you can only hold 6 items in your inventory. If you want a 7th item, you'll need to drop something else first. Small hands decreases your inventory space down to 3, while baby hands only lets you hold 1 item at a time. However, there's actually a trick to pretty easily cheese both of these modifiers, and that is the pre-run shop. You see, regardless of your inventory space, you'll always get the items you ordered in the pre-run shop, meaning that if you purchase all 4 items, you'll end up having 4 inventory slots. With this, you can still swap out any of your old items for some new ones. Simply hold out the item that you wish to part with, and then try to pick up the new item that you hold. This new item will just replace the item you're holding without getting rid of any slots. That said, if you end up accidentally dropping an item for whatever reason, that inventory slot is now gone, and you won't be able to pick it up again. So you'll need to be careful when using certain items or when trading with Louie. Also, this pre-run trick does not work if you die and end up reviving. But even so, I'd argue that Baby Hands is a far more valuable item mod than something like Out of Stuff, since Baby Hands allows you to keep finding bandages and batteries, and you can even find new items to swap out your...
Welcome to the Arcadian Colony. Play it day 1.
Which in my opinion is worth losing the extra 5% that you would get from using Out of Stuff instead. Number 65, Every Angle. This is another Floor 1 exclusive mod that buffs an entity to its Floor 2 variant, this time being Eyes. Eyes will now have the ability to teleport every couple of seconds. Again, if you've already played the mines, you're probably already used to this. Eyes isn't really all that difficult to deal with. Number 64, Gone Fishing. This mod removes guiding light from your run, making it more difficult to find essential items such as keys and library books. This will also make the sea chases slightly harder, since guiding light will no longer light up the correct door at a junction. For the longer sea chases, guiding light will luckily still show which path to take, they just won't light up any doors. Overall, this still isn't too difficult of a modifier. Just don't pair it with any mods that buff Dread, as you could end up struggling to find a key and then getting killed by Dread. Number 63, Locked and Loaded, and number 62, Key. These are hotel exclusive modifiers that generate more locked rooms, with Key X4 requiring a key in nearly every single room. This can make your run a bit more tedious, as you always have to be looking for keys, but overall, it's not too difficult in my opinion. In most rooms, the key will be on the only table or drawer in the room, and in a lot of cases, the key will just spawn right in front of the door, and you won't need to look for it at all. Also, the greenhouse doors can never be locked, so that's not changed either. Number 61, Tripped. You'll start the run at half health. This isn't really too bad to deal with, as you'll probably find some healing eventually, especially if you're in the mines where you can just use the bandage. Just try to avoid taking damage in the early game and loot for some bandages. You'll be alright. Number 60, Less Stuff. This decreases the chances of you finding items in your run. In my opinion, this is my least favorite item-based modifier to use. It just makes it way harder to find items while still encouraging you to loot under the slim hope that you'll manage to find something. At least with Out of Stuff, you know that it's hopeless and you don't need to bother. But if you use the pre-run shop and you're not too keen on looking for items, this can be a good modifier for you to use. Number 59, El Goblino's Payday. This mod makes it impossible to find any gold throughout your run, meaning that you'll never be able to buy anything from Jeff's shop. This is definitely unfortunate, but it's really not the end of the world. Yes, it is. How am I gonna tip Jeff? How is he ever gonna go to college? Basically, all this modifier does is that it probably denies you out of a skeleton key and a crucifix. You can definitely find these items on your own, but they are really rare, so don't count on it. And honestly, when it comes to the mines, Jeff's shop isn't all that useful. He basically just sells all the pre-run shop items, as well as the battery pack, which isn't too hard to come across in normal gameplay. And for our last D tier mod, we have number 58, Vacuum Seat. This mod has a chance to spawn in the vacuum from the back door. Basically, there's a chance that the sub room might actually not have anything in it, so if you carelessly walk into a random room, you might just fall out of the map and die. This mod only affects the floor sub rooms, so if you avoid them altogether and just focus on normal progression, there's a chance you won't even encounter that. That said, if you do end up looting the sub rooms, just be careful and quickly back away when opening a door so that you don't get sucked in. And now we'll be moving on to the C tier modifiers. These mods still aren't too difficult to handle, but they can catch you off guard if you're not paying attention. attention. Number 57, New Roommate. This is the third and final hotel mod that buffs an entity to behave like it does in Floor 2. Unless you count the I'm Everywhere mod, but whatever. Anyway, this mod is for Hide. With this mod, Hide will now camp in the previous hiding spot you were in, and if you try to go back into that same spot, you will instantly attack you. If you play the mines a lot, you might be used to this, but if this modifier catches you off guard, it can be very punishing, particularly when dealing with ambush, since you need 2 hiding spots to have any hope of surviving. Number 56, it can run too. This is a modifier for the Seek Chase, making Seek run much faster than normal. Honestly, the Seek Chase is just a game of skill, and as long as you know how to handle each Seek Chase, this mod shouldn't be too much of a problem. Number 55, Wrong Number, and number 54, Battle of Wits. These are modifiers that will make Dupe much more aggressive. Dupe will now be completely silent, so you really isn't too bad to deal with, but you are going to need to pay attention to make sure Screech doesn't get you. Number 52, Nowhere to Hide. With this mod active, there might be less spots for players to hide in. To my knowledge, this mod also removes the 3 closet limit for rush and ambush spawns, meaning they spawn in way more rooms than they've been spawned before. That being said, there should be at least 1 hiding spot available most of the time, so if you're playing something. But personally, I don't recommend using this for Hotel Hell playthroughs, as I like to use the closet count to be able to predict rush spawns more easily. Number 51, Electrical Work. This mod makes the lights never flicker, and it makes them nearly impossible to break. This can create quite a challenge, as there will no longer be a visual indicator for when Rush is going to spawn. This means you're going to need to use Auxiliary or Fuse alone to know when he's going to attack. After a recent patch, this modifier also removes Rush's Earthquakes in the mines as well, so you can't rely on that either. The silver lining with this mod is that Rush also will not break the lights when he passes through, giving you way more light rooms to work with. To my knowledge, the only entities that can still break the lights with electrical work is the gloom bats, since, you know, that's kind of their entire gimmick. That said, this modifier is going to require a bit of patience and concentration. If Rush catches you off guard, you might not make it to a hiding spot in time. Number 50, Come Back Here. This is the only modifier for Figure, which increases his movement speed across the floor. This can make him a bit more challenging, but if you already know how to deal with Figure, you should be fine. He's not even that prominent of a threat in 2, so this is a great modifier choice for electrical runs. Number 49, Bad Electrical Work, and number 48, Power Shortage. These mods will create more dark rooms in your run, causing the lights to flicker and break more often than usual. This can make Power Shortage especially difficult, as entities like Rush will start attacking these dark rooms. But in general, as long as you have a light source and you should be fine. Anyway, after writing the script, I was told that Power Shortage might not actually work in the mines, making it another half-broken mod. Am I going to readjust the entire ranking to consider this? Number 47, Run From It. This is the first of 2 modifiers that buff Dread, making him spawn earlier than usual and giving you less time to go through rooms. Now, Dread is actually one of the few entities to get a pretty significant buff in the latest update. Dread is now a far more active threat, as he will spawn faster and faster as your run progresses. This can vary from room to room, but in the final 15 doors or so, you're only given about a minute until Dread spawns, even without any modifiers active. And of course, modifiers will shorten that time even more. That said, this mod isn't too bad, especially in the hotel where the rooms are pretty short. You might struggle with the mines with some bad RNG, but I don't think the weaker Dread mod is that bad of an option in Floor 2 either. Just keep moving and you should be fine. Number 46, Watch Your Step, and number 45, Are Those Pancakes? These mods will spawn in Snare throughout the floor, a threat that is normally only found in the greenhouse at the very end of the hotel. Snare isn't really too much of a challenge in light rooms, as they stick out like a sore thumb. But if you're in a dark room, they end up blending in surprisingly well. This means that a light source is basically mandatory while this mod is active. Also, on rare occasions, the locations of the spawns can be a bit unfair. Yeah, sometimes they'll just spawn in these very narrow hallways or doorways with no route to avoid them, essentially forcing you to take damage, and this is the main reason they're this high up on the list. Luckily, with either of these 2 modifiers active, snares cannot kill you, they can only damage you. Number 44, Infested, and number 43, Bug Problem. These mods will spawn gloom bats throughout the hotel, and even more gloom bats than usual in the mines. Gloom bats aren't that difficult to deal with in the mines, and these mods aren't too bad by themselves, but personally, I don't like using these in any of my runs. They just spawn so often that most of your rooms end up being dark, and on top of that, you get punished for using any sort of light source. So in my opinion, these mods just feel like Power Shortage, but with even extra challenge. Another thing to note is that their eggs will be on the ground, and stepping on them will deal damage. So if you're gonna pair this with Last Breath, be very careful, as stepping on these eggs would kill you. Anyway, with that, not only are we officially done with the C tier, but we're also halfway through the ranking. Let's move on with the ranking and head into the B tier. These mods will significantly change your run and will require a lot of concentration to complete the run with them. If you're trying to get Hotel Hell or a hard place, you're likely going to reluctantly pick a few of these modifiers to reach the non-boost criteria. Number 42, Think Faster. This is another mod for Screech, giving you even less time to react to his whisper before he bites you. If you use this mod, you're probably going to start needing to pay attention to other warnings of Screech's presence besides the whisper, as by the time you hear the whisper, it might already be too late. Keep in mind that when Screech appears, your screen will slightly shake as he climbs onto you. On top of that, you'll also hear a faint white noise before you hear his whisper. With these two things in mind, you should be able to deal with Screech just fine, but these indicators can still be difficult to pick up on, and you're likely to miss them at times. Number 41, Haha, and number 40, Laughing Stock. These mods will spawn Giggle in the hotel and will spawn more Giggles than usual in the mines. In my opinion, Giggles are more difficult to deal with than Snare because players do not typically look up unless prompted to do so, meaning Giggles will catch you by surprise pretty often. Also, from my experience, these modifiers are pretty overpowered in the hotel. Just putting in Haha will make one Giggle spawn in every single room. In fact, I pretty recently found out that putting Laughing Stock or higher will actually spawn Giggles during the Seek Chase, which to my knowledge is something that can never be done in the mines. Luckily, for these mods at least, there are some tools to deal with the Giggles, such as listening for their laughter or blinding them with light source. Number 39, Always Watching. This is a modifier for eyes, which makes him appear in every single room. There are some exceptions to this, being the boss fights, but other than that, he is a constant threat, meaning that you're probably going to be looking down at the floor quite often to avoid it. He'll even spawn during the Seek Chase, making these sections significantly more challenging. Now, you might have noticed that I have yet to bring up the Nosy modifier, which makes eyes spawn more often, but not in every single room. And you probably think I'm psychotic for ranking Always Watching lower than Nosy. And to that I say, hold up, let me cook. I have a conspiracy theory about this modifier. Number 38, Lookman. This is a modifier that can spawn in the Lookman from the back door. Essentially, Lookman is another version of Eyes. But personally, I find Lookman to be far less forgiving than Eyes. Lookman is quieter and much less obvious to spot. And when you look at him even once, he will take a pretty big chunk of your HP, as opposed to the slight chip damage that you get from Eyes. So Lookman is far more punishing if you're not always looking out for him, and in my opinion, having Lookman appear sometimes is far more threatening than having Eyes appear constantly. In fact, I'd argue that having Lookman appear constantly would actually make him easier to deal with, as you'd get used to him being a threat and would basically always look down. Lookman is most effective when you let your guard down, and I feel like having him in every single room would actually diminish that. Number 37, Destiny Still Arrives. This is the second modifier for Dread, making him spawn even faster than run from it. It's at this point where Dread reaching you can become a matter of RNG, as there are some pretty complicated rooms in the mines that could take a while to go through. Even in the hotel where the rooms are considerably shorter, you might have to deal with the occasional lever inside the basement maze, which is much harder to navigate in the recent update. This is also where you might need to worry about Dread in boss fights. Dread could always appear during these fights, but it always took a very long time. But now that this timer has been shortened, he could become a threat. Overall, this modifier is a bit of a toss-up. With good RNG, this is a relatively easy knob booster. But with bad RNG, you're gonna regret ever activating this mod. Number 36, Survive the Draco Blocks. This mod is a completely separate mode that remakes the hotel into a sort of retro. Basically how doors would look if it was made back in 2008. I'm gonna be real with you, this might have been the single hardest modifier to rank. I don't know, the gameplay here just feels so different from anything else we've seen that this mode is gonna vary in difficulty depending on your skill level. Conversely, this modifier is completely different from anything you'll see in the normal game, so it's gonna require a lot of explaining. So let's break down this mode and what you can expect from it. Upon exiting the elevator, you can find some neat little retro such as radio, some silly advertisements, and some gear that you can't use. But watch out, a life form unlike any other is here to end your run. Big backed figure. But once you do the unthinkable task of walking past him, you can grab the key and start your run. You'll notice as soon as you open door 1 that the clock is ticking. You have 600 seconds or 10 minutes to complete a run of this mode. Once that timer hits 0, they are free. Jokes aside, the Draco Blockers are seriously dangerous. They run much faster than the player and can deal tons of damage pretty quickly. They can get stuck, but the game spawns a bunch of them. And if even one of them starts chasing you, you're as good as dead. So yeah, you have a pretty limited time to complete this playthrough, which can make certain segments pretty intense. Anyway, from here, most of this mode is just a watered down version of it. You'll find Eyes, Screech, Rush, and the occasional ambush. Hiding also works pretty differently from normal doors. You kinda just walk into the closet. There's no hide entity, meaning you can hide in there for as long as you want without having to worry about being booted out. You can even share closets with other people. That kind of stuff. This means that there are unlimited hiding spots for people, even on a 40-player map. Both of these changes to hiding make rush and ambush pretty easy to deal with. Just pick a closet and don't think too hard. The only slight challenge with hiding is that they can actually attack you while you're hiding, and it can be surprisingly difficult to find Screech in this cramped area. My advice when hiding is to actually face the back of the closet rather than looking at the door like you do in the original game. Oh, and also Screech just explodes for some reason. But now we get to the actual challenge of this mode. Platforming. Yeah, just like classic Roblox, this mode has a lot of obby sections. The first section is a sea chase, if you can even call it that. You make your way through a long hallway jumping over the lava. All the while, a giant kill brick with a Seek PNG image makes its way back and forth. Throughout the hallway, there are some hiding spots you can stay in and wait for Seek to pass. This section isn't too difficult, but if you get greedy and try to play this too fast, there's a chance that Seek will get you before you can hide from him. But at the same time, you can't play this too slowly because, remember, you're still on a time limit. This section is just a matter of pacing yourself and not letting Seek get you. You'll do a bit of normal doors gameplay before you make it to the second obby section. The library. Big back figure is nowhere to be found, thank God, but you do have another obby to do. This one being much less forgiving than the last. You start off with the pick a path section where you must push these red blocks onto the path to find out which is the real one. Then you have to traverse a narrow pathway with some lava blocks before finally jumping on some spheres to reach the exit. This section still isn't too difficult, but the time limit starts to become a problem. If you mess up the obby at any point, you fall into a massive pit beneath the library. You can climb back up, but you still have to start the obby all over again, meaning that if you do fail this section, it's a pretty major time loss. But once you beat the library, you'll find yourself in Jeff's shop, and you can't buy anything since ticks were removed 10 years ago, RIP. Anyway, after leaving Jeff's shop, you'll do a bit of normal doors gameplay until you reach the very end of the game at door 42. Don't ask me why it ends at door 42, I have no idea. Door 42 is the final obby section of the run, and is the longest and most difficult of them all. This obby integrates all of the platforming skills you've been taught so far. Pick a path, truss climbing, narrow pathways, sphere jumping, etc. It's not too bad at first, but later on there could be some jumps that really mess you up, especially this jump right here where you need to jump around the glass to get to the other side. This obby is extremely long and will take you a couple minutes at most to complete. And just like the library, if you fall a single time, you need to start all over again. If that happens, because of how long the obby is, you're basically out of luck and you're likely going to run out of time before you can complete your next attempt. But once you do make it through that, you can open door 43 and enter the winner's room. There isn't much to do here, but you can play around with some stuff here. Once you're done, you can take the portal to go back to normal doors. There's also a glitch where you can reach door 44 and continue your run up to door 100, but we're not going to count that. As far as the devs are concerned, door 43 is the end of the playthrough. I don't think entities can really spawn past this point anyway, so it's basically just a walking simulator. So as I mentioned earlier, I was pretty torn on where to put this modifier. On one hand, the general gameplay of doors and dealing with these entities are much easier than it is on the normal game. But on the other hand, this mode has some seriously unforgiving parkour sections that can kill your run if you make a single mistake. I think ultimately it depends on how skilled you are at parkour, which varies for some people. I'd argue that nowadays it's not that bad since we have Seek in the Dam as a floor 2 end boss, but back when this mode was released, being able to jump in Roblox doors was completely unheard of. Anyway, I think putting this as a B tier mod is pretty fair because of how unforgiving the platform sections can be. Number 35, Rush Hour. This is a modifier that will make Rush stronger. While Rush is a basic threat, he's also a pretty lethal one that you always need to be careful of. I'm sure some people would argue that this modifier should be lower, but Rush is a much more lethal threat with this modifier run. And I think even the most experienced players are at least going to get annoyed by him at times, even if they know how to deal with him. Seriously, in the last 10 doors of the mines, he spawns after every other door. It is insane. Number 34, Tripped and Fell. With this mod, you begin your playthrough at only 10 health. You can heal it all the way back to 100, but you need to be careful in the early game, as basically anything can kill you. Honestly, this modifier is a toss-up depending on which floor you're on. I would not recommend using this modifier in the hotel, considering that bandages are a bit less common to come across. You could heal it off quickly, but it's going to require some good RNG. But on the other hand, not only are bandages much more common in the mines, but you can also buy the bandage pack from the pre-run shop to immediately heal off most of the damage. So yeah, pretty easy modifier in the mines, but pretty tricky in the hotel, which puts this mod in the spot that it's in. Number 33, I love pancakes. This is the third and most powerful snare modifier, spawning loads of snares throughout the hotel and making it so that snare can kill you if you take too much damage. Pair that with this mod's RNG that I was talking about earlier, and you got yourself a recipe for disaster. This is definitely not something you would want to pair with Last Breath, as stepping on a single snare could kill you. Number 32, Drip Out. With this mod on, all of the giggles will find some really cool shades. Unfortunately, with these shades, you can no longer shine a light at any of the giggles to stun them. This makes it so that you're basically forced to avoid walking under them instead of just blinding them and calling them. However, there is still one item that can stun the giggles with this modifier on, and that is the glow stick. The cool shades do not protect the giggles from the sheer pain of having a stick thrown at them, meaning you can use these to temporarily stun the giggles. That being said, glow sticks can only spawn in the mines, meaning if you're playing the hotel, you're completely out of luck and you need to carefully avoid the giggles. Number 31, Bad Time. Now we're starting to make our way to the 3 Bad Time modifiers, which increase the amount of entities you'll see throughout your run. As of right now, these modifiers just take the seed that you're in and they insert more entities into them for you to deal with. More rush, more eyes, more ambush, etc. Obviously, putting more entities in the game is going to make it more difficult, but Bad Time isn't too harsh with the extra spawns. Number 30, Injuries. This modifier decreases your speed relative to how much health you've lost. If you're at full health, you'll walk at normal speed. You move slower and slower with the more damage you've taken until eventually you're moving out. This modifier isn't necessarily too bad on its own, but there's usually a lot of other health-based mods that you're better off using. If you're really locked in and you never take damage, this is potentially a free 5% knob boost, but at that point you might as well just use Last Breath. Number 29, I'm Everywhere. This is a hotel exclusive modifier that will make Screech spawn at any point, even if you're not in a dark room. Now technically, in the mines, Screech can attack at any time, so you'd think that normal players would be used to this. However, Screech's spawn rate in the hotel is actually much higher than it is in the mine. This is because the spawn rate is still under the assumption that Screech can spawn in dark areas. In the mines, they nerf the spawn rate to compensate for this. So while Screech in the mines may attack every minute or two, Screech with this modifier on has the chance to attack every couple of seconds, making him a constant threat. But what makes this modifier really tricky is that Screech can even spawn during the Seek Chase and the Halt Chase, meaning that you'll have to multitask getting rid of Screech while also running from what's chasing you. This is something that can never happen in the normal game and can really trip up players who aren't prepared for this. Number 28, Really Bad Time. This is the second of the 3 Bad Time modifiers that will increase your entity spawns across the board. Not too much else to say here. More entities will make the game more challenging. Number 27, Back for Seconds. This increases the amount of ambush spawns you will have in your run. As many of you already know, ambush is arguably one of the most lethal entities in the game, as he rebounds a lot of times and requires a lot of concentration to avoid it. What makes ambush particularly powerful nowadays is the 4-2 hide buff, making hide camp in the last hiding spot you're in. This requires you to find at least 2 hiding spots to survive ambush. This can be difficult to do, so that's why this mod is so high up in the ranking. Number 26, Last Few Traps. This reduces your maximum to 50 rather than a typical 100. Keyword being maximum, as unlike the other health mods we talked about, you will not be able to heal your HP back up to 100 since 50 is now the cap. Essentially, you're constantly playing at a good health. This makes the game far less forgiving when you take damage, meaning you'll have to play a lot more carefully. And to close off the B tier, number 25, Nosy. Alright, so obviously this modifier is ranked much higher than Always Watching. Why? Well, first let's start with the hotel. With the release of the content update, Eyes appears even more often with the Nosy modifier on, to the point where he's practically in every single room. Aside from Eyes being absent in the Seek Chase, Nosy doesn't feel all that different from Always Watching. That said, a lot of people might still prefer Nosy to keep the Seek Chase safer. However, my main concern with this modifier is actually in the mines, where Eyes does spawn less, but you have to worry about an entirely different threat. When this update first came out, I ended up making a video on it, which is admittedly a bit outdated with some of the info we just learned, but for a day 1 loadout, I think I did a pretty good job. That being said, Nosy ended up being one of the hardest ones to deal with. I put it since it's a pretty easy modifier in the hotel, and I didn't think too much of it. But as I began my hard place attempts, I noticed a pretty glaring issue.
Get it? Glaring like eyes?
There were a lot, and I mean a lot, of giggles. Now, in case you couldn't tell from the ranking so far, Giggle is one of the most challenging entities for me to use personally, especially when Eyes is also in the room, making it harder to locate. So needless to say, these large amounts of giggles were causing this run to be a lot more difficult than I envisioned. This ended up really confusing me, because I knew for a fact that I didn't put on any giggle or bad time modifiers, so nothing in the game should justify this many spawns. I thought I was just getting comedically unlucky until I noticed that most of the giggles were consistently spawning when eyes did. So that's when I found the culprit. Sure enough, I turned off the nosy modifier, and this made my mind's playthrough significantly easier, with way less giggles to worry about. But I wanted to know what was going on, so using the admin panel and custom scene modifiers, I dug a bit deeper into this. I tried my best to count the amount of giggle spawns, once in a vanilla run, once with nosy enabled, and once with always watching mode. Now there were some issues with the testing, such as some of the rooms completely changing with certain modifiers for some odd reason, but nevertheless, it made me pretty confident in what I'm about to say. So here's my big conspiracy theory with this modifier. Nosy is significantly more difficult than always watching, because nosy, on top of increasing the amount of eye spawns, also increases the amount of giggle spawns, leading to a very deadly combination of entities. While always watching, on the other hand, does not increase the amount of giggle spawns and keeps it relatively the same as always. I'll admit this requires a bit more testing, so if you happen to have the admin panel, I encourage you to try this out for yourself when you finish watching this video. But for my testing, giggles would always spawn when eyes does when you have the nosy modifier on. And mind you, eyes still spawns very often with nosy on, just not in every single room. You will get some breaks, but in my opinion, it's not worth having to deal with so many giggles. Obviously, this discovery was very shocking to me. Why would this modifier for eyes spawn giggles so many times while the other mods don't do the same? Well, here's what I think is going on here. Keep in mind that we are now entering speculation territory, and I am not at all a game developer, and I have no idea how coding works. But this is how I justify why so many giggles are spawning. I think normally in the mines, the spawn RNG for eyes and giggle are very similar. In fact, whenever eyes spawn, I think the game intentionally goes out of its way to spawn a giggle as well. This isn't something that will happen 100% of the time, but it has a decent chance to happen with every eye spawn. This is to add a bit of extra challenge to the mines to keep players on their toes. Now, what Nosy does is that it simply increases the RNG of eyes spawning. And because the game likes to spawn eyes and giggle together in the RNG code, this inadvertently buffs the giggle spawns alongside it. However, the always watching mod doesn't have any RNG involved. I'd imagine this mod just has some code to put eyes in every single room and call it a day. So if anything, always watching has even less RNG involved in your typical playthrough. And because eyes now has no RNG involved, the giggles no longer and they return to their usual spawn rate. Feel free to let me know down in the comments if you have any other ideas. Anyway, the takeaway from all this is, if you're gonna put an eyes mod in the mines, don't. Eyes is a menace on that floor. But if you still decide to add one, I would recommend using always watching instead of nosy, as you'll probably find way less giggle spawn throughout your run. Anyway, I was actually pretty torn on where to put nosy, because while this is arguably one of the hardest mods for the mines, it's still a pretty easy one for the hotel, as giggles don't naturally spawn there, and eyes isn't all that much of a threat. I was initially going to put nosy in A tier, but I think putting it at the very top of B tier is a pretty fair placement. And speaking of which, we are now going to move on to the A tier modifiers. These are some of the most challenging mods in the game that will make your run significantly harder. While they do provide a fun challenge, it is not recommended to put any of these in your hotel hell runs, as they're gonna give you a really tough time. Number 24, out of stuff. This mod removes all the items from the game, meaning that the pre-run shop and Jeff's shop are now the only way to get any kind of item. And if you pair this with El Goblino's Payday, then the pre-run shop becomes your only option. This mod also removes all bandages and batteries, meaning if you take damage at any point, it's most likely permanent. You'll also have to use any light sources very sparingly because you can't charge them again later. Number 23, seeing double, and number 22, 4 eyes. These are even stronger modifiers for eyes. Seeing double putting 2 eyes in each room, and 4 eyes putting, well, 4 eyes in every single room. Now, admittedly, I didn't include these mods when it came to testing giggle spawns, but if I had to guess, I doubt these impact giggle spawns, similar to always watching. That being said, having multiple eyes in the same room does make the game much more difficult. By the time you've reached seeing double, you're probably looking down at the floor constantly to avoid both of these entities. But conversely, that's why 4 eyes isn't too much harder than seeing double, since you're probably already looking down constantly anyway. But yeah, both of these mods are really challenging. By the way, you can essentially cancel out this mod if you end up finding a crucifix. Using a single one on eyes will just get rid of them for the remainder of the run. A couple other mods have this too, but I'm not really going to put too much thought into it, since you're essentially using a crucifix to remove the modifier, similar to a death point from FNAF Ultimate Custom Night. If you depend on a crucifix to get rid of a modifier, then it's still a very difficult modifier. Also, who's gonna bother rifting a crucifix for every single attempt anyway? I mean, number 21, worst time ever. This is the third and most difficult bad time modifier that increases entity spawns. At this point, entities are going to spawn in nearly every single room. While this mod admittedly got nerfed to compare to some previous versions, the entities here still attack very often. In fact, there was some handful of points in Mines runs where entities would attack before I could even find a hiding spot. Number 20, After Image. This mod drastically increases the movement speed of Ambush, making him go insanely fast. In the recent content update, these movement speed mods were buffed to the moon, making them way harder to deal with than they used to be. Some people might argue that this modifier is helpful because Ambush moves quicker and gives Hide less time to attack you. But in my opinion, it can be difficult to even get to a hiding spot with this mod on, especially if you're in the mines where you need to swap hiding spots. That said, Ambush shouldn't be too much of a problem considering he usually only spawns once per run. However, from my experience, this modifier also seems to increase the amount of ambush spawns. So yeah, the increased ambush spawns also makes it a lot harder. That being said, the ambush variant of this mod is definitely easier than the rush variant, and I'll explain why once we get to that. Number 19, My Knees Are Killing Me. This mod drastically reduces your movement speed while crouching down. Wrong. You need to do a bit of crouching in the first seek chase, but that isn't enough to really change the seek chase all that much. But then you move on to any sort of room with Figure in it. Yeah, you need to be constantly crouching here, or Figure will hear you. And if Figure gets anywhere near you, it's nearly impossible to dodge him since you're moving so slowly. If you're impatient, you may choose to occasionally uncrouch to get a bit more movement speed, but naturally this comes with risk, and having Figure constantly hear you as you're moving would also make this mod equally as difficult. Number 18, No Laughing Matter. This is the final and most difficult modifier for Giggles, making him spawn in basically every single room. But on top of that, Giggles will no longer laugh, meaning there's no audio cue for where they are, and you need to constantly be looking up in order to avoid them. Pairing this with Dripped Out will make the game extremely difficult. Number 17, Stop Right There, and number 16, Room for More. These are the two mods that will spawn in entities from the rooms throughout your playthrough. Stop Right There will simply add in a 90, and Room for More throws in a 60 and a 120 on top of it. These are some pretty lethal and unforgiving entities that require a lot of concentration. If you play the room stuff floor a lot, you're probably used to dealing with these entities, but I put these mods this high on the list for a couple of reasons. First of all, while I'm personally used to dealing with A90's attacks, there are still a lot of players out there that aren't used to it. And second of all, A90 outside of the rooms is a little bit buggy. When hiding in a closet or a locker, there's a pretty long hiding animation, and for A90, this actually counts as movement. Meaning, if you're very unlucky, A90 can spawn right as you're hiding and will attack you without any sort of time for you to react to it. This is admittedly very rare, but when it does happen, it is infuriating. Third of all, I think A90 is a very terrifying threat for the mines end boss, Seek in the Dam. This is a difficult parkour challenge that requires you to constantly be moving, so being asked to stop midway is quite demanding. Also, I've heard some reports of people getting attacked by A90 while in the middle of an end boss cutscene. You do get teleported around during these cutscenes, so I can see A90 counting that as movement also. So yeah, even for experienced players, A90 can have some pretty unlucky moments. And adding in the other room's entities just ramps up the difficulty even further. Number 15, Rent's Due. This mod makes hide much more aggressive, giving you a couple seconds at most to hide in a closet before it kicks you out. No matter what modifier loadout you have, this makes the game much more challenging, as you'll need to carefully time your hiding to be right before an entity reaches you. If you hide even a little too early, you might get kicked out of your hiding spot and immediately killed. Number 14, I'm running here. This drastically increases the movement speed for Rush, giving you only a couple of seconds to hide before he gets you. While this is terrifying by itself, it's not too difficult to deal with in the hotel. But once you get to the mines, things change. You see, in the mines, Rush also has the chance to attack in front of you, and this gives even less time to react when spawning. In fact, I've had runs with this modifier where Rush attacked from in front, and the lockers were so far away that I had no time to reach them, even though I was immediately making my way to them. So yeah, because Rush can attack from in front, I think this modifier has a good amount of RNG to it, because you might not be able to even make it to a hiding spot before Rush reaches you. And speaking of RNG, number 13, number 12, and number 11, Chaos. These are the modifiers that will randomly select other modifiers to put in your run. Uh-oh adds 1 random mod, How Unfortunate adds 3, and Chaos adds 5. These modifiers will give you something completely random that you haven't chosen in your loadout, and it will be different for every attempt. On top of that, the game will never tell you what modifiers were added until you've already died, meaning that you're left in the dark to find out for yourself which modifiers have been added. While it is fun to add in Chaos and try to figure out which mods are added, I do not recommend using these mods in Hotel Hell runs. While it does have the chance to add in some easy mods, it could also add in some extremely difficult ones. And even so, it's nearly impossible to prepare for every single outcome these mods could bring to the table, so there's a lot of things that could catch you by surprise. Even if you do end up getting easy modifiers, just the paranoia and having really difficult modifiers are gonna cause you to make mistakes. And that is the end of the A tier mods. So finally, we move on to the extremely dangerous S tier mods. The S tier is reserved for the top 10 hardest modifiers in the game. Putting on one of these modifiers is an experience by itself, as they can make the game much harder. Number 10, my legs are killing me. This is a much more difficult version of the previous speed reduction modifier. Now, on top of barely being able to move while crouching, your normal speed while uncrouched is reduced as well. As I mentioned earlier in the video, speed is essential to surviving most. Putting on one of these modifiers is an experience by itself, as they can make the game much harder. Number 10, my legs are killing me. This is a much more difficult version of the previous speed reduction modifier. Now, on top of barely being able to move while crouching, your normal speed while uncrouched